Hey there, language lovers! Have you ever noticed how quickly kids seem to pick up new languages? It's like they're little sponges, soaking up words and grammar effortlessly. As adults, we often marvel at their ability to switch between languages or learn a new one in the blink of an eye. So, what's the secret behind their linguistic prowess? Let's dive in and explore the fascinating world of language acquisition in children. Think about it. Kids are surrounded by language from the moment they're born. They hear their parents, siblings, and caregivers talking, singing, and reading to them. They're exposed to different tones, inflections, and rhythms of language. It's like a constant, immersive language bath. And boy, do they soak it all up. So the next time you see a child effortlessly chatting away in another language, remember that they're not just cute, they're linguistic superheroes. Let's talk brains, people. Did you know that a baby's brain is already about 80% developed by the time they turn 3? That's a whole lot of brain power packed into those tiny heads. Brain plasticity refers to the brain's amazing ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. It's like having a supercomputer that can constantly rewire itself, creating new connections and pathways as we learn and grow. And when it comes to language learning, kids' brains are like little plasticity powerhouses. They're constantly forming new neural connections as they're exposed to language. Every new word, every grammatical rule, every conversation strengthens those connections, making it easier for them to learn even more. But here's the thing. Brain plasticity isn't just for kids. Adults have it too, although it might not be as flexible as it once was. Kids are natural-born language learners. And you know what else they're good at? Playing! It's not just about having fun, although that's a big part of it. Play is actually crucial for their language development. It's like their very own language lab, where they can experiment, make mistakes, and learn at their own pace. Think about it. When kids play, they're constantly using language. They're talking to their toys, narrating their actions, and creating imaginary worlds with their friends. They're not afraid to try out new words or phrases, even if they're not quite sure what they mean. And you know what? That's totally okay. Because through trial and error, through mimicking and experimenting, they figure it out. Studies have shown that children who engage in more imaginative play tend to have larger vocabularies and better language skills overall. So the next time you see a group of kids lost in a world of make-believe, don't interrupt their fun. They're not just playing, they're learning. Now let's talk about something called the critical period for language learning. The critical period is basically a window of time, typically from birth to around puberty, when our brains are especially primed for language acquisition. During the critical period, our brains are like that house under construction, more adaptable and receptive to new languages. As we get older, the house is pretty much built, but that doesn't mean we can't still redecorate or add an extension. It just might take a little more effort and planning. So while it's true that it's easier for kids to become fluent in a second language during the critical period, it's never too late to learn. Section 5. No fear factor. Kids aren't afraid to make mistakes. Let's be honest, folks, making mistakes can be embarrassing. Nobody wants to sound like a fool, right? But here's the thing about kids. They don't seem to have that same fear of messing up. They're like little language daredevils, fearlessly trying out new words and phrases even if they're not quite right. And you know what? That's one of the biggest reasons why they learn so quickly. Think about it. When you're not afraid to make mistakes, you're more likely to take risks, experiment, and practice. Kids don't get bogged down by self-consciousness or perfectionism. They're too busy having fun with language and seeing what they can do with it. They might mispronounce words, use incorrect grammar, or even invent their own words altogether. So the next time you're feeling self-conscious about your language skills, channel your inner child. Remember that it's okay to make mistakes. Section 6. The science behind it all. Fascinating studies on language acquisition. Now let's get a little scientific, shall we? Researchers have been studying language acquisition for decades, and they've made some pretty fascinating discoveries about how kids' brains work. One of the most influential theories is something called the innateness hypothesis, which basically says that we're all born with an innate ability to learn language. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a brand new smartphone. It comes preloaded with certain apps and features, right? Well, according to the innateness hypothesis, our brains are kind of like that. We're born with a language acquisition device, a special part of our brain that's specifically designed to help us learn language. For example, studies have shown that babies as young as a few months old can already distinguish between different sounds in their native language. They can even recognize the rhythm and intonation of their language, even if they don't understand the words yet. That's pretty impressive for someone who hasn't even mastered the art of chewing. Section 7. From babbling to fluency, stages of language development in children. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Remember those adorable days when your little one was just a babbling bundle of joy? Those goo-goos and gagas weren't just cute noises. They were actually important milestones in their language development. It all starts with listening. Even before they can utter a word, babies are soaking up the sounds of language around them. Then comes the babbling phase, that adorable stage when babies start experimenting with sounds, stringing together consonants and vowels in a delightful symphony of ba-ba-bas and mama-mas. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, those first few magical words. Mama, dada, ball, dog. Each word is like a little victory. From there, it's a whirlwind of vocabulary growth as they start to connect words with objects, actions, and ideas. Of course, there will be bumps along the way. Mispronounced words, grammatical errors, and the occasional made-up word are all part of the process. So, embrace the journey, celebrate the milestones, and remember that every child develops at their own pace. Section 8. Tips and Tricks. How adults can learn like kids. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good for kids, but I'm an adult. My brain isn't as flexible as it used to be. And you're right, adult brains aren't exactly known for their plasticity, but that doesn't mean we can't learn new languages. It just might take a little more effort, a dash of creativity, and maybe a few tips from those little language gurus we call kids. First things first, ditch the fear. Remember how kids aren't afraid to make mistakes? We need to channel that same fearlessness. Don't be afraid to speak up, even if you're not sure you're grammatically perfect. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. You're bound to fall a few times, but eventually you'll find your balance. And don't forget the importance of immersion. We can create our own immersion environments by surrounding ourselves with the language we want to learn. Section 9. Creating a language-rich environment for kids. So, we've talked about how kids learn languages, but how can we, as parents and educators, support their linguistic journeys? It's all about creating a language-rich environment, a place where language is celebrated, explored, and enjoyed. Start by talking to your kids. And I don't just mean the, did you brush your teeth or eat your vegetables kind of talk. Have real conversations with them. Ask them about their day, their thoughts, their dreams. Tell them stories, sing them songs, read them books. The more you engage them in meaningful conversations, the more they'll learn. And don't be afraid to introduce them to other languages early on. Studies have shown that children who are exposed to multiple languages from a young age have an easier time learning new languages later in life. Reading is a fantastic way for kids to expand their vocabulary, improve their grammar, and develop a love of language. Section 10. The gift of languages, benefits beyond communication. Learning a new language is like unlocking a secret door to a whole new world. It's not just about being able to order a croissant in Paris or haggle for souvenirs in Marrakesh, although those are definitely perks. Knowing another language opens up a world of opportunities, both personally and professionally. For starters, it broadens your horizons. It allows you to connect with people from different cultures, understand their perspectives, and appreciate the beauty of their languages. Studies have shown that bilingualism and multilingualism can actually boost brain power. That's right. Speaking more than one language can improve cognitive skills like memory, attention, and problem solving. And let's not forget about the career advantages. In today's globalized world, knowing another language is a valuable asset in many industries. But beyond all the practical benefits, learning a language is simply a rewarding experience. Section 11. Conclusion. Embrace the joy of language learning at any age. So there you have it, folks. We've explored the fascinating world of language acquisition in children, delved into the science behind their impressive skills, and uncovered some valuable tips on how we, as adults, can learn from these little linguistic superstars. The next time you hear a child effortlessly switching between languages or picking up new words like they're going out of style, remember that they're not just cute. They're linguistic superheroes. So, embrace the joy of learning, celebrate the mistakes, and remember that every step you take on your language journey is a step towards a more connected, more understanding, and more vibrant world. Now go forth and conquer those verbs, folks. You've got this.